What? Ah. That's why it's not working. Yeah.
When I first saw Adam, he was big for 10 years old, and he was far more athletic than guys his size. At that stage, he could just win on athleticism, basically. You know, he was far more agile and quick, and he wasn't a short 10-year-old. He was a long, lanky 10-year-old. Guys just couldn't wrestling when he was 10. It's been fun to watch the progression that Adam has gone through. Obviously, he's grown up, he's matured. He just does some things that I don't see our normal kids doing. And I think he is literally one of the most unique wrestlers that I've seen come through this Excel program in the past 12, 13 years. I don't think I've had another wrestler like Adam with his ability.
Well, I'm sailing. Who's that cat coming down the street?
I don't know, but it sounds to me like that's
I was on my dad's team. He wrestled at LSU.
I wanted Adam to wrestle. There was no kids program in Covington, Louisiana. It's a little town, 8,000 people. So I started a kids program, and Adam started wrestling when he was about 3.5 years old. And I guess he started competition when he was about 6.
That was just before we moved to Colorado. I would wrestle a year younger than the kids that I was competing against in the South, and when we moved, I again was wrestling a year younger for a while, so I didn't really realize that I was doing well until I wrestled kids that were my own age. I won state in the Metro competition, and I won it again when I was 14, and that was the year before high school.
The big story with Adam is he's improved a lot over 4 years, and when he was a freshman, he had wrestled a lot, had a lot of experience and talent, but was pretty sloppy, and Adam would probably say he just wasn't totally into it.
Freshman year, I went to Fairview High School, which is the rival school to Boulder High. I made varsity, which was good because I got to wrestle kids a little older than me, but I didn't think the coaching staff lent itself to my style of wrestling, so it was kind of good to make a change my sophomore year to Boulder High. I ended up going to the regional tournament. I was having some trouble with my knee at the time, and I wrestled this kid in the consolation finals. Was beating him 14-1 when I ended up dislocating and breaking my knee. It was kind of heartbreaking because that was the match to qualify for state.
I mean, a lot of physical maturity and wrestling maturity, but the most maturity and mental toughness. He doesn't fear any workout. Red flag workout, however hard, we're going to push him. Adam's there, you know, ready to battle.
The last 2 years, really, he's matured, and he's wrestled hard, and he's worked hard.
The new coach, junior year, was Coach Kingsley, and he was just perfect for my style. He was a big guy in high school, big guy in college.
I saw Adam Katz wrestle one of my stud kids at Skyview, a guy by the name of Steve Livingston, at the Evergreen tournament. And I thought to myself, God, if I could have talent like that, I could build a team around it. And, you know, God works in weird ways, and all of a sudden I get a job at Boulder, and guess who's in my room? Adam Katz, the kid that I said that about.
Kingsley was kind of the top worker. He tweaked the cradle stuff, and Carlucci was kind of the bottom work guy. And Kokowski was coming in and helping me with my footwork and my takedowns and my single legs and my doubles, and working with my style and what the coaches wanted. It was just kind of all coming together. Ended up having at least 30 wins, and that's pretty sound. It kind of cemented in my mind that I had a chance next year.
Between Adam's junior and senior year, he really went after it to get ready for wrestling.
If you don't have your ego in the right place to train during the summer, you just don't have a chance.
He wrestles different than most of us do, so sometimes it drives us crazy, but it's kind of fun to watch.
I'll use Ben Askren as an example. I'd like to go back to Ben's early years when he was 15, 16, and see what he looked like, or a guy like Wade Chalice, because that's the kind of style that Adam has.
People called it funk, but it was all fundamentally solid stuff that he was doing. He went out to Mitch Clark's camp in Ithaca, New York to learn the Funk to Fundamentals system. And it was great for Adam because it was just up his alley. I mean, that kind of funk wrestling was perfect and it fit into what he was already doing.
It worked every time, in both defending and using it. In the really high-end competition, it's just something you have to know. It's just one of the angles of the sport that, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, people just don't pay attention to.
And to be honest with you, that scrambling style is more a style that I'm trying to teach, because I see so much of it now that we need it. Not only has Adam learned it, he has a knack for it. He's so hard to take down. He's so hard to score on, you know? He can come out of just about anything. And if you're going to take Adam down, you literally have to nail his hips to the mat.
He went to 4 camps that summer. He went to one in Alamosa. He went with Steve Knight to Hawaii and to Germany.
Several tough German wrestlers and did great.
It was a freestyle and Greco thing, so I was getting used to that, but I ended up not losing in Europe, which was cool.
I watched him in Europe. It's 6 months later. He's improved by leaps and bounds.
That intimidation factor really had me junior year. I had a lot of issues convincing myself that I was going to go out there and beat him. And I think that a lot of that was alleviated by going to Europe and just seeing that I could roll with them and I could convince myself that I was in a position to actually put some people away. I won 2 national tournaments, the Monster Mash and the Bighorn, and I won the Bighorn against Casey Norgard. Finals, I had the fastest pin in the tournament, and getting Outstanding Wrestler was actually something that I didn't expect, because I went home and they called me up and said that I had won, and I wasn't there for the actual handing off of the award and the picture, so I had to send them in a picture of my me in my stance. Probably the defining time when I decided to change to 71 was the 6th and 5th place match for UNC, which kind of showed that it was just the wrong weight class for me. 71s became 73s, and it was just time to move down. I just realized, I mean, I hadn't lost 3 times in a tournament for many seasons, and it was just a sign. When I moved down, it was a whole different game. We were moving, there was momentum, and we were kind of getting out of, real rigid wrestling stance of the 89-pounders. So it was good to get moving matches that lent themselves to funk and cradling and stuff.
From the razor left and tattooed below his eye. His mother cries, she knows that he is strong enough to die. He's rolling in the Cadillac, his midnight sunroof is down. 3 shots right out of here and there's the new king is crowned. Black coat, white shoes, black hat, Cadillac. Yeah, the boy's a time bomb. Black coat, white shoes, black hat, Cadillac. Yeah, the boy's a time bomb. Black coat, white shoes, black hat, Cadillac.
Yeah. I was just always looking towards the Tirada match. That was like my focus. Every time I went into practice, the coaches would yell, I bet Tirada's not working this hard, I bet Tirada's not doing sprints like you're doing. He's not waking up in the morning and doing a half hour of sprints on, sprints off every minute, and he's not lifting weights like it was just always like that. It was just always directed towards Tirada because he was the #1 guy in the state. He was the kid to beat. Tirada was at his home gym. It was in front of his friends and in front of his cheerleaders. His dad was yelling, watch the cradle, and kind of the perfect match. It felt great. Putting him on his back right away, going out of bounds after he was on his back, and then putting him on his back again, and then letting him up, and taking him down and putting him on his back again. Like, it was just getting on the match and just everything people had been telling me, everything that I had noticed during the matches, everything that we kind of worked on just came to a great culminating product, which was just some of the weird stuff, you know, kind of the funny ways that I did it. It really didn't seem threatening until it was very, 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 very threatening. I wish I could say I was just immediately turning my mind into going to state, you know, and thinking about my next match, but I was just celebrating. Walking off the match, I just didn't really understand it yet. I was happy the entire night, could hardly sleep. It's a good feeling.
These people, 125 of them, we could not run this great state tournament.
After the Toronto match, came state, wrestled 2 matches, and I won them pretty convincingly. I then wrestled Casey Norgard in the semis of state. I had him on his back. Questionable whether it was a pin. Sometimes some refs they count the fall before they start looking for the shoulder blades to be touching the mat. And I lost 12-8.
Adam got pneumonia at the end of the season. Adam told me he'd worked like crazy the whole season to get himself in such good shape. He got sick. It felt like somebody had changed bodies with him. His body just wouldn't respond for him. He just got tired.
I didn't take it in a way that would be detrimental to my next matches. I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose heart for the next ones, because these were my last matches, possibly ever.
And after he lost, he then had to come back for third. And he knew that he had to put his opponents away quickly, because if he didn't, he might run out of gas again. Sometimes it's harder to come back for third than it is to win a championship. And I'm sure that was true for Adam, because the guy he had to wrestle for third and fourth went into the state tournament with only 1 loss the whole season. The only match that he lost in the state tournament was in overtime to Toronto. Adam kept that determination up and had kept the heart of a champion in spite of his sickness. So I'm very, very proud of him.
Supposed to qualify for nationals by being a finalist. One of the refs saw my match with Tirada, and when he saw that I beat him pretty convincingly, he talked to my dad about giving me a wild card, since I was #1 in the state going into the state tournament.
And Gerald Moore spoke to the head of the Coaches Association that puts the tournament on and got Adam in. And Adam went to the high school nationals in Virginia Beach and did very well.
I ended up being 2-2. Yeah, it's really good because it's an individual sport. It's self-rewarding and it's an independent in a lot of ways. You keep yourself accountable for what you do, and there's repercussions of not running, there's repercussions of not training.
And I've seen that in Adam. His mental toughness gets stronger all the time. There isn't any workout that he won't push himself through. Like any of us, he may not love it, but he pushes through it and he gets it done. You know, from the way I look at it, you know, he's far from hitting his peak. You know,
And he's wrestled hard and he's worked hard, and you know, he gets pushed really hard, but he responds, and it's fun to coach him. So
Wrestling's taught me attacking goals because it's such a hard thing to come out of that I feel like I can do a lot. I feel more confident in other aspects of my life too, you know. It kind of seems like this abominable thing that you just cannot get over, and wrestling kind of teaches you that you can get over those humps.
Just maturing as a young man, he's turning a corner, and couldn't be happier for him.
Achievement that I took away from it was really about the preparation that I did, and not so much about the results, because that's just what I remember. That's probably what I'm going to remember when I'm older, and what I'm going to respect wrestlers that I see throughout my life for is just the fact that they win, and they worked, and they just put their life aside for something that they wanted to do. And that's something I can respect anybody for doing. I like the poster in our room. It just says, once you've wrestled, everything else in your life is easy.
Watch me!